Hi, everyone. I'm Becky Cope English, partner and managing broker of the agency Chattanooga, and welcome to Real Chat, where we explore all things Chattanooga, the people, properties, and places that make the scenic city so attractive. Whether you're buying your first home, selling your fifth, relocating for work, or tax advantages, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we break down real estate trends, talk with locals making a difference, and feature places that we love, and share our stories from the trenches that both surprise and entertain. No confusing jargon and no sales pitch, just honest conversations with real Chattanoogans and practical advice to help you buy, sell, lease, and live better in the greater Chattanooga area. Thanks for joining us. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome, Beth Reed, one of our affiliate brokers, Realtor. Moved to Chattanooga from Memphis.
Yes, indeed.
Were you born and raised in Memphis?
I was born in New Orleans.
New Orleans.
But grew up in Memphis, and then we moved to Chattanooga in 2020. So right as the world shut down, we came and made a new home here. Yeah.
Yes. Well, you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
You're really, really rocking in real estate, which is fantastic. You stay busy, and I know we only have a short amount of time because you have some place to be. My intention here is to kind of introduce you to the world. This is what this whole Real Chat is about, is so that people who are listening or people who are watching get to see Beth Reed, who you are, because I feel like every time someone sees us, whether it's an open house, it's an interview. It's a little bit of an interview. So hearing your voice, seeing how you are, which I always say you're one of the most gracious ladies I've ever met, who is phenomenal at her job as a real estate agent. But you are also involved in building with your husband. So you do some of the design and just kind of nurturing people through that process as well. You also have how many children and how many grandchildren now?
Yeah, so we have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. So
And the last one just came
Oh yeah, like a month and a half ago.
Wow.
So,
a month and a half already.
Yes, yeah.
So
so
you
much fun.
You stay busy.
A little bit.
Altogether, you've been involved in real estate for how many years?
This is my 6th year.
As a realtor, but you've been by builder
I've been in the
side.
industry. Yeah, I've been in the industry for over 30 years.
Yes.
So I feel like I know homes inside out, backwards, forwards, top to bottom. Yeah.
So as a builder's wife, how many homes have you lived in?
Wow. Lived in or built? We have built, I think, 14 of our own personal homes.
Oh my goodness.
We have purchased a few and renovated a few that we've lived in. So I think all total, it's somewhere in the 20s. But I think just as far as from start to finish construction, live in it, I think we're at 14.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot. But that's what happens.
Yeah, that's part of that's part
so
of the
you
gig.
have a lot of experience.
Uh-huh.
So what I'd like, first of all, I want you to come back and we can talk longer. But specifically, we talk about in this office pretty often, we come in and we tell, oh my gosh, this just happened, or however it comes about in our real talk, the things that we just share around the table, we tell stories and we solve problems together because it really is a collaboration in this office. But specifically, you have an interesting story, and I think this story kind of leans toward the kind of person that you are, because I find that your clients love you as a real estate agent, but you're also someone that just intuitively helps people and shepherds people through really tough times. So this story, and I'll just preface it by saying you were working with someone, there was a terminal diagnosis involved. Do you want to share that?
Yeah, so met this veteran. He had served our country honorably and just a proud veteran. Had been a business owner for years and built a successful business with his wife. His wife had passed away, and shortly after she passed away, he received a terminal diagnosis and realized he had probably about 3 months to live. And it was truly his dying wish to sell his home so that he could have the proceeds to give away to special ministries and missions that he felt really passionate about. And when I first met him and saw kind of where he was physically, I thought, this is going to be tough. I mean, first of all, I'm not sure he's going to make it through the process, but also it's just going to be hard on him. And I even asked him, I said, you don't have to do this. And he said, no, I've made up my mind. I want to do it. And I said, okay, well, if you've made up your mind, I'm going to help you do it. We're going to get this done so that you can literally rest in peace. So, of course, he's from an older generation, so no email address, which meant, all of our documents, of course, have to be hand signed. And I also realized, wow, the whole showing process is going to be difficult for him. He's got a house full. He's been in this home for 30 years, 30 years worth of memories. His wife's clothes had not been lovingly gone through since she had passed away. So it was just a big task. And I think my goal was to do two things: accomplish his goal, which was to sell the house so he had the proceeds to give away, but also do this in a way that would afford him dignity, to hurry the process without him feeling rushed. And so, there were a lot
time
of,
is of the essence, which we have in our
Yes.
contracts, but really time was of the essence.
time was of
Literally.
the essence. And so, it involved all the things. It involved, like I said, going over and really getting the house ready, a house that, has been lived in for 30 years and well maintained, but not necessarily updated or, kept up real well. So getting the house ready, getting it on the market, preparing for an estate sale, because he's got, like I said, 30 years worth of memories, going through wife's clothing piece by piece and donating them to the right places here. Chattanooga Room in thrift store got a lot of her really nice clothing. So it was just the whole experience of
So how
it.
long did the whole experience last? How did you meet this gentleman?
Well, he actually is a neighbor of my son. And so he had gotten to know my son as they were neighbors. And when he told my son, hey, I really need to sell this house, he said, well, you should talk to my mom. And so I went over and met him, spent several hours just visiting, hearing stories.
We do that. Yes.
And that's when I said, you really don't have to do this. But anyway, once I realized he was not going to back down, I'm like, I'm on board. We'll get it done. So from the time I met him until we closed was about 45 days.
Wow.
It was quick. And the amazing thing is we closed on his house. He got the proceeds. He had moved into a little apartment, and he was able to give away what he wanted to give away. And within 10 days, he passed away. And it was just that realization of he had been holding on to make that happen.
That was his purpose.
That was his
That
purpose.
was like his last purpose.
It was his last wish. It really was. And I was so honored to be able to help him, to help facilitate his last wish.
Was his family involved?
Well, and that's the part that really was hurtful to my heart, is that he passed away without any heirs. They never had children. And so, this was it. He had some siblings, and I got to meet them at his funeral, but yeah, there was no next generation.
I know that you may not think of it this way, but I think you were heaven sent to him, because in this business, and we talk about this a lot in our office,
Yes.
amongst ourselves, we're not just doing business to have a sale.
Right.
We are service providers and solution
Right.
providers. And when we meet someone like this, there are a lot of people out there that would say, well, this is too much.
Yeah.
It's not a path of least resistance.
Right.
They wouldn't necessarily think about making this easy on him. They're thinking, sell. Who am I
Right.
going to sell this to? The process would take the precedence. And you are saying, I'm going to do this differently.
Right.
And I'm saying this because I do hear stories of people that don't get people like Beth Reed, and it's tough on them,
Right.
or they don't end up with the best results. And in this case, he had you. You shepherded him through this last part of his life. I'm sure you probably introduced him to Room in the Inn.
Yes. Yes.
Because
yes.
you're such a passionate supporter of that organization.
Yeah.
So when you work with people, we all, and you and I both do this, we take a little bit of every transaction into the next.
Yes.
So how has this affected you when you work with your future clients and
Yeah.
existing.
Well, and I think what I love about this business the most is it's not cookie cutter. We have our systems and we have our processes and we have our sequences that we do things to maintain order, but there's no cookie cutter. And I think the key to it is to just listen to people's stories. People will tell you, here's what I need. Here's my challenge, and I'm looking for a solution. And as long as we listen to how do you want this to turn out? Then we can step into that space with them and say, okay, I'm going to help you get there. I don't steer them toward a solution. I try to tease out what solution are you looking for, and let's find it together.
Right.
So I think that's a biggie. I also think that just the value of, especially the clients that I work with, who tend to be the last of that really greatest generation. The best way that we can honor them and give them respect and dignity is just sit down and listen to them. Let them tell their stories. I went over one day and I was looking through his house and I said, tell me about this picture, tell me about this flag. And the pride on his face as he told his old war stories and, about his buddies in Washington, I wouldn't trade that for anything. So I do think we take a piece of each client with us, and hopefully it makes us a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser, and a little bit more empathetic as we deal with the next challenge or issue.
And for people that haven't gotten to meet you personally, I see you do that every single day. You show up first with your heart, I think, always. And you're also someone that's not afraid to say, I need help, or
or need a lot of help.
Well, we all do, and that's why collaboration is key.
Yeah.
But being from Memphis, and you have been here since 2020,
Right.
so you've gotten a lot of resources. But I mean, I'm still learning about Chattanooga because Chattanooga's evolving, and so being open-minded as a real estate agent doing this business, learning new things, finding new ways.
Right.
I mean, we have so many things that are evolving. So to always be bringing to our clients the best options, we have to be open-minded.
Yes.
Open-minded, open-hearted, because you're right. This is not cookie cutter.
It's not cookie cutter. And, I've always said that if I'm learning, I'm living. And so as long as I'm learning something new every day, I'm still living. And so it's a goal of mine, literally every day, to learn a little something new. And so whether that's from a client, a colleague, a sales meeting, a training, whatever it is, we add more tools to our toolbox, and we're better equipped to help the next person solve the next problem, whatever it may be.
And my heart is for the person that's out there, like this gentleman, especially our boomers, our greatest generation, because things are different for them.
Right.
They typically don't like to do things via email.
Right.
And there are a lot of young realtors. We have 3,000 realtors in our MLS now, as you know. And there are a lot of young, newly licensed agents, and it's not that they're better or worse, but they tend not to inherently understand that I need to treat this person as the person that they are, not the what today we think of when we see a client. Hey, we're going to send you something to e-sign, and everything's done electronically or via text. You need to go sit down with people, or actually talk on the phone.
Yes.
Answer the phone.
One of the first questions I ask people when I meet with them, potential clients, is what's your preferred method of contact? Because I want to speak on the level that you're speaking. What you're comfortable with is the medium I want to use to contact you and communicate with you. And I think that's huge. I think also just recognizing that not only are, let's say, our clients that aren't as tech savvy, they're savvy. They're just not tech savvy.
Right. There's a
and
difference.
so to keep in mind, these folks are sharp, and I've got a lot to learn from them. So let's give them the honor of choosing whether we sign documents by pen or e-sign or however we do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I want you to come back because everything you just said makes me think that I want you to elaborate on how you approach your clients and people that are maybe sitting there saying, I know I need to sell my house.
Right.
They're probably sitting on a lot of equity. Some people might not tell them how much equity that they have. But I know you're a true, honest person, and that is to the benefit of that person that's maybe considering selling. And they may also be considering that my house isn't show ready, so they might feel a little intimidated
Yes.
to reach out to an agent. So I'd love to have you on to talk about those things.
Yes.
Because what hurts my heart is someone that thinks that they have few options.
Yes.
And that's, we want to help people. You and I are very
Absolutely.
much alike in that regard.
Yeah.
So
I'm all about adding value to people. And my sweet spot is probably helping people get their home ready to sell. That's probably my favorite part of the whole listing process. So I'd love to have a conversation about that in the
sounds
future.
great.
Yeah.
Well, go about your day. Enjoy.
you.
I hope everything is smooth the rest of the day. I'm waiting to hear about a closing right now.
Yeah. Well, as we live.
As we live. Yes.
As we live.
Thanks,
Have a
Beth
great
Reed.
day. Yeah. Good to be here with you.
Thanks much.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Before we jump back into today's episode, I'd like to thank our friend and sponsor, Huck and Peck. Honestly, Huck and Peck is one of my favorite places to shop in Chattanooga. Every time I walk in, I just get to wonder, get inspired, and I never feel pressured. The staff is lovely, and the atmosphere is both relaxed and welcoming. Most people think of Huck and Peck as a furniture store, but it's so much more. They have 20,000 square feet of showroom filled thoughtfully with curated furniture, lighting, rugs, artwork, decor, and unique pieces you won't find anywhere else. And trust me, it's much bigger than you expect. Whether you're furnishing an entire home or just looking for one perfect piece, Huck and Peck is always worth a visit. Stop by their showroom on Chattanooga's South Side or visit them online to see what everyone's talking about. I think you'll quickly understand why it's one of my favorite local businesses. Now let's get back to today's episode. Hi, Brian May.
Hello, Becky English.
Brian May, managing partner and executive creative director of May Create, well, founder of
Yep.
May Create. When did you create May Create? What year?
Legally January 1st of 2004,
2000.
but moved back to start the agency in September of 03. Moved
Okay,
back
because
from
I
Florida.
have one of my questions, from what I recall. You grew up in North Carolina, but I know that you've spent time in Orlando and Manhattan, and now Chattanooga.
And Atlanta and Charlotte.
And-
and
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you also have a bit of a background as a skateboarder?
Yes, I did competitive skateboarding as a teenager. Yeah.
Competitive.
Yeah. Half pipes.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah. Most people nowadays, younger, do not. But
Okay.
yeah, think Tony Hawk.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really talk about all that subject a whole lot.
We can
but,
move on.
But one of the things about you, obviously, you're in advertising, which also we kind of equate you to our Chattanooga version of Mad Men, which you
wow.
probably don't like.
No.
We'll
The
move on.
creative side of that era was awesome, but the general sense of what the office life was like is
Yeah,
not something
well, your
I
office
was,
is cool.
but
And your
Yeah.
office is full of young people and bright, vibrant colors, but also you have all of these computer.
yeah.
What would you,
All so I've kept one version of every computer I ever used to make a living in advertising on. So I've got a version that goes back to basically 1989, 1990. Yeah, at least
Wow.
one. Yeah.
and you have all these awards,
Yes,
which you don't like to talk about, probably.
Yeah, no, but
Addies.
it's
Is that what
okay.
it's called, an Addie Award?
They're Addies and W3s and Clios and that kind of stuff, just from years gone by. But it's just industry recognition stuff. You have plenty, also.
Just I pale in comparison to you, honestly. But what drew you to Chattanooga?
Initially, it was a visit through a friend of mine that I met in Greenville, North Carolina, at a small group Bible study. And he married a girl from Chattanooga and said, "Hey, what are you doing this summer? Come spend a couple of weeks with us in Chattanooga." And I had never even thought about Chattanooga. I'd heard of it, but had never been. And
What year was this?
1993.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And I stayed up on Lookout with my buddy's wife's family. And they welcomed me to Chattanooga like I had grown up here. And quickly made friends that summer. Was supposed to stay 2 weeks, ended up staying a month. And fell in love with Chattanooga. And went back home and back to my job and back to my life. And we went back to our Bible study. And I kept talking about Chattanooga. And we talked about starting an agency one day. And 2 years later, convinced them to move to Chattanooga. and I've been here almost that entire time. This is the only city I've lived in twice because I missed it when I moved away.
And you moved away to where?
Orlando, Florida.
Did you go from Orlando back to Chattanooga?
Yes.
Okay. So when was the Manhattan stint?
Oh, that was way early in like, 89 and almost into 90. Not long. I liked it, liked the energy, the time I spent there, but it was not for me. I grew up on a farm in eastern North Carolina, so I love visiting the city, but I like being in the country.
I would think you would fit in well in New York just because you're kind of a blunt person.
I got that partly from my dad. That was one of the many things he gifted me raising me. And then the other part, it kind of got accelerated in my time in Manhattan. That's one of my favorite things about larger cities, but especially that city, is you don't have to worry about what someone's thinking. They're honest about it. And and I have been accused of being overly honest sometimes, but
You too. I get accused
why
of
we
that
get along.
as well. Well, but it also is a double-edged sword because when you're blunt with me, I may cry. I've cried a few times at your hands, but you don't know this. So when I had on here, how do we connect? My recollection is I saw you at my apartment with my roommates, and I want to say that you're laughing. That was pre your wife.
yeah,
And,
long before Aaron,
okay,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so that was like 99, 98, 99.
Man, it was like tail into 97, 98, because I was,
Maybe.
yeah.
Because I remember sitting there at Riverside Apartments and watching Coolidge Park get
Yep.
built. But I saw you there, but we didn't really meet. And then I knew of you because she talks very highly of you because of what you did for a living. And then I'm in real estate. I kind of remember, fast forward, I was working on a project in Ottawa. We needed some help with logo, just developing out this community and doing it right,
Yep.
not just doing it on Canva, which we have Canva now, we didn't then, but doing it the right way. So I called you and we met, and I vividly remember, and I tell people this about you, your critics anyway, I try to soften them up and say, Brian's actually a really nice guy. Because at that lunch, you may remember, we talked about business, but then you talked about meeting Aaron and how you fell in love. And I remember going away and being like, oh, I want to meet a man that talks about me that way. And that solidified in my heart who you were. And then we worked together.
And we've been friends ever since.
We've been friends ever since, and we've had a lot of friends in common, and we've shed friends and got new friends.
Yeah, that's life.
But overall, I know you are a very principled person, a very principled business person as well. We've done some things with nonprofits when I've called and begged you to help because we had no budget or very little budget, and you've stepped up, and you have an incredible team, and Make Create's doing great. You've got a great spot, but you have other things that you do, which I think is super incredible because you're not just one thing. You are able to manage quite a few things, and then you have your likes and your hobbies, and so I wanted you to embellish a little bit about what are you passionate about right now? What do you have your hands in right now?
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, Erin did not like me when she first met me either. Who I am professionally is blunt and honest because I do believe in getting the most out of whatever you're paying me to do. And the only way we can do that is to be honest. Personally, I'm a very, very different person. I'm much softer, and quite frankly, on the subject of Aaron, it's tough not to cry. So back to the professional side. I've always been able to keep a lot of things going at the same time. People use the word multitasking. I think everyone multitasks, some better than others, some at higher levels than others. But somewhere along the way, I realized if I hire the best people I can afford to hire, and just give them direction and let them do their job and let them make mistakes, and don't crucify them for mistakes, but reward them if they learn from those mistakes, then I wake up one day and think, all right, I can do more if I keep applying the same thing to everyday life, and to especially business. And so recently, I have gotten involved with a technology company as an owner, that's doing really well. Again, they do what they do, and I try to stay out of the way. I will weigh in if I need to, but other than that, I don't really have to do very much. Other things like a trucking company in Florida that I am part owner of, I do take a much more hands-on sort of role there, from as detailed as reviewing financials and that kind of stuff, and dealing with how we're going to work with banks and those kinds of things. But my passion is always business communications, which is advertising, marketing, that kind of thing. So
People don't necessarily think, so I would have never said advertising was communications, but it totally is.
yeah.
You have to,
Yeah.
you have
Every
to,
business owner better be a marketing person, or at least empower or hire a marketing person, because if I'm giving away bars of gold for free, but I don't tell anyone, I'm going to have bars of gold sitting in my office forever. And so we're all, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we're all marketers, whether we think we are or not. So, and we're all brand managers. So,
yeah, communication.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to mention Brushy? Because I think Brushy's a
Yeah,
huge thing that
yeah.
you did. Because it's not just Brushy, which I think the whole story is pretty cool, but you also have brands that came out of that.
yeah. So, Brushy, one of my really good friends, calls me on a Saturday and says, "Hey, what do you think we can do with a prison?" And I was like, "Man, I'm not
in
even
the middle of Tennessee.
I'm 5'5", 5'6". I'm staying out of a prison. I'm too small to go to prison." And he laughed and he said, No, there's a decommissioned prison in Morgan County that's not being used, and it's actually really beautiful. The building's beautiful, and then the setting is incredible. And so the next Saturday we went up and visited, and I said, "Yeah, let me do a little bit of research," and we decided we were going to do a distillery and prison tours, and it's expanded into a museum, a gift shop, 2 restaurants, an RV park. We're about to open these cabin rentals next year, and we've seen, on average, close to 200,000 visitors a year the last couple of years. And we do concerts. We've had Dwight Yoakam and Aaron Lewis and Jamie Johnson and you name it. And it's been fun, but it's taken a lot of work.
So you have a lot of things going on. So how do you stay sane with all of those things?
Hobbies, I will take a few Saturdays a year and do track days with one of my cars. I like to work on cars, and I like working around the house in the yard. I was on the tractor bush hogging for an hour and a half yesterday afternoon. So
I was going to say you have a lot. You have a fair amount of land that you have to take care of, and if you're on that tractor, that is kind of a reset.
it's
I
a
would say.
respite from
It is.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everybody understands that. My first business was a lawn mowing business. And of course there was some push mowing, but there's also the rider. And I thought it's instant gratification, but it was also relaxing, and I was being productive. So I get it. I think that when you do as much as you do, or as I do, people may say, well, you work too much, or you work all the time, and you are always on the move. But it's a mental break that we really need, not a physical break.
Yeah.
We need a mental break, and that comes in the most simplest of ways.
Yeah. How I am most satisfied when I have a lot going on, but the only way I can get anything rewarding out of that is to have time to myself. I don't watch a lot of television, except in the fall when college football's on. I can spend an entire day wasted in front of a television on a Saturday. But I don't watch a lot of television. I love to read. And the reading, the car thing, the tractor thing, they're just little spots that give me break from what most people would call chaos. To me, it's just rewarding. And I don't do these things The motivation is not to have more stuff for me. The motivation for me is creating jobs and allowing people to be able to have their life financially feel somewhat secure. That's where I get the most reward. And if I can't manage my own time, I'm never going to be able to help them, succeed and manage their time. So
Yeah, being a business owner, you wake up and think about your bills, but your bills include paying people so they can pay their bills. So it's a weight that you have to carry. And so, I love, being an entrepreneur and being a business owner. There is something to be said for I set my own schedule, but also if you're not, I always tell people when they say, well, should I get into real estate? And I'll say, well, how disciplined are you? You set your own schedule. So no one tells you what to do. But if you don't have that discipline, you will fail. If you have to have somebody tell you what to do and when to check in and when to check out and the tasks that you have to achieve every day, you're probably not going to make it as an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, you are thinking not just today, but this week and next month and years down the road. I know you think about, with tech and trucking and Brushy, I know you have a plan for what your next 5 years, 10 years looks like.
I think I generally, and this is where Erin and I were business partners and where we were great business partners. She was very much a day-to-day details person. She was not a 3, 5, 10-year goals or dreams person. That's all I think in terms of. Tomorrow is just my calendar on my phone, and I will deal with tomorrow when I get through today. But each one of those days add up to 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and they're very intentional steps. That's how my brain works. It's how God created me. Not everyone thinks that way, but I always think in terms of long-term endeavors. I don't think, what is this going to be a year from now? It's 3 years.
But you're also a very faithful person.
Yes.
So you're also completely open to whatever God's plan is.
Always, 100%. Yes. Yes.
So you make plans, but you're also like, I'm listening for.
Well, at the same time, I'm always praying, Lord, if this path I'm on is not the path you want me on, then you redirect me and I will be okay with it. Mm-hmm. It may be painful to sometimes lose money on a deal or sometimes something not work out that you want to work out. But I do trust that he's in control. And if he is, then his plans are perfect. Mine are not. So I'm okay with that.
We agree on that. We both live by that. So when I think about May Create and I think of Chattanooga, I know you guys have some pretty big clients. So is Chattanooga, to me, it seems like the advertising companies, the bigs, are probably LA, New York, Miami, maybe Atlanta. In Chattanooga, does it make sense for you to have May Create here? Were you thinking of it somewhere else? Or is our world global enough now that you can do advertising for someone anywhere in the world?
Yeah, we do. We have, in the past recent years, we've had clients in Japan and England and Scotland and currently in Canada and currently in England. And then all over the U.S. There are agencies in Chattanooga that are bigger than we are. For me, it was never about having an agency that was big because I came out of working at huge agencies. Erin and I wanted a place that not a single employee dreaded Monday morning on a Sunday night, which meant quality of life outside of work, supporting family first, even above the business, and then always doing the best we could possibly do for every client. We have Yakubi and Taylor's as a client here in Chattanooga, and we absolutely love working with them. They're a one-store, wonderful clothing shop, been around since long before May Create started. And then we have multi-billion-dollar international corporations as clients as well. But Chattanooga's home, and for me, life outside of work makes work great.
Awesome. Well, I was going to say your culture, when you walk into your business, there is a swing hanging there in the middle of the offices. So I don't know how often someone just says, you know what, I need some inspiration. I'm going to go swing for a little while.
The swing you would think is inspiration. It's not as much inspiration as it is, it's at the end of the day, what we do, it's still a job. It's still work. And you have moments where maybe an idea you have is not jiving with someone in the office that you think should, or maybe it's not jiving with a client and you think it should, but it's stressful. The swing is there more as a stress reliever.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anyone go into that swing without a smile and get out of it, and not have a smile. I mean, they go in frowning and they come out smiling.
It's a good reset,
So
I would
it just is you sit in a swing. I don't care. I'm 56 years old. I was in it 2 weeks ago, and it's just fun. So
I was gonna say, how high do you get on that thing?
I've touched the ceiling with my feet.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's cool. So let's talk about how has advertising and branding changed or evolved over the last few years, and has it sped up because of AI, and what's really kind of it's not even
the same profession almost.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
The core of it very much is. The tools that we use
because
are
it's
not.
very human, so
Yeah.
you still have to have the human element.
Yes. We will. If people say, "Oh, well, we're worried about we're losing our jobs because AI is going to create logos." Well, yeah, we do logos, but that's a part of a brand system, and that takes human beings. I've been doing this 30. Geez, I mean, I don't know, since
You just said you're 56.
Getting paid to do it since I was 20.
Yeah.
And so you can do the math, 36 years. When I started, we were doing everything with X-Acto blades and setting type in ways that kids today, younger designers today, can't even comprehend how we got things done that we got done. But I've always liked technology. So I would say the quickest changes have happened in the last probably 24 months with AI. AI's been around a little bit longer, but in our industry, where we're using AI daily, and we have tools that we've even built that uses AI, that we built with AI, is more on efficiencies. So just a few years ago, if a client came in and said, "Hey, we're looking for new strategy around this campaign with this launch of this product or service," it would take us weeks to get to a place where we were ready to present to the client. 4 to 6 weeks. Now it takes a lot less time because we internally can get together as a team, iterate ideas on a whiteboard, and say, "Okay, these are the 5 or 6 ideas we think may or may not work." In the old days, we would take 2 or 3 weeks to flesh out those ideas and kind of get look and feel and language and nuance of how things are written and all that. Now we can take AI and do the same thing in 3 days and go, "Okay, these are the 2 that we know will work." Then we can use some of the tools that we've built to push that look and feel into, along with data around audience personas and those kinds of things. And then AI will say, "Okay, of these 2, we believe these tweaks should be made," and then we'll go back and start pushing those into final rounds of what we're going to present, build the deck, present to the client. So we're compressing the time it takes. But the talented people are still required because
it's a tool, and it's just creating efficiencies.
Yes. Yeah. It
So-
gives us more thinking time. That's the important part.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so I have a little quote written on our refrigerator in the kitchen here that says, "People will pay for the water." So if you have a fire, people will pay for the water, but they don't want to pay for the hose.
Right.
Okay, so we say this in real estate. I know it applies to what you're doing, because when you are talking to someone, because I've been a client, I'm a fired client, as a matter of fact.
Don't
Well,
feel bad. We fire 2 every year.
2. I would say 2 every day, but
We fire 2 every year intentionally and have from the beginning.
so I know I will touch on that in a second, because I think it's important for a lot of reasons, which kind of goes back to faith. But when you're doing logo development, someone says, "I want a logo. I need let's just say real estate. I'm doing a real estate development, and Make Create, I want you guys to help us develop what we need to develop. Whatever that price tag is, people often, because I'm guilty of it, is you'll automatically think, well, I see the cost, but gosh, could you not do it for less? I'm sure everybody asks you to do it for less.
Oh, yeah, especially with AI. Yeah.
It's in everything,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But when you can then explain the reason why you do what you do, you're paying for the experience. You're
Yes.
paying for all of, and I say all of what your brain and your team's brains have absorbed, because you see things on a daily basis. Like, I'm in real estate, so I'm not looking at ads like you look at ads. I'm not looking at logos like you guys do, or even knowing that the fonts are adjusting, because they're developing new fonts every day. I'm sure you've even created fonts. So people that push back on that, and I know you have some, we always say this, well, I might not be the right fit for you. I say that in real estate to some people as well. Is that a difficult conversation? You just touched on it, now that there's AI and people think, well, this should be less expensive.
Yeah. I mean, it's never been a difficult conversation for me, only because years ago I was taught by a billionaire that I worked for. There's only 3 pay scales in the world: general labor, responsible labor, and liable labor. And time is time. So in the service industry or service profession where we are, you're basically paying for time. So what's that time worth? The value I add to what I charge is based on experience and ability, the talent to do what I do, or what we do. And so for us, it's not a difficult conversation, because clients generally can easily see the difference between something that AI spits out or a $99 logo website spits out versus paying us for an entire brand system. Because people talk in terms of logos. Well, if all you want's a logo, my recommendation generally is we're not the fit. But if you want a brand system that represents who you are as an actual company, and you're willing to treat us like a partner the way we're going to serve you as a partner, then there's a lot more involved, because we want to get to know you, and we want to get to know your audience, or and the product or service that fits in between
And
the two.
sometimes you help people find out what their audience is as well.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Clients come in and think, there's a certain definition to their audience. We look at the product or service, and then we go, okay, we did this years ago with a national restaurant chain, and they thought their audience was one audience. And the more we dug and looked and sampled their food and went and visited their restaurants and saw their service between Idaho and all across the Midwest and into Tennessee, we realized they could push their prices up a little if they just reworked the interior of their restaurants a little and updated their brand system.
Hit a different audience.
And their margins, they were able to do that and make more money, and that's the value of what we do. It's not just making a logo, it's evaluating a system of how you communicate what it is you're offering to your audience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so quickly, to touch on what I said, because we're faithful people, when you gently, politely fired me, which I think is probably one of the best things that ever happened, because I reached out to someone who then introduced me to our current director of marketing, Emily Long, and now she and I have had a 10-year relationship.
That's awesome.
So thank you, Brian May, for firing me as a client.
I maybe asked you to use someone else. I don't know if I said
I know.
fire,
Well,
but
you didn't
yeah,
actually
yeah,
fire me, but
yeah.
you said, I think you said you might want to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how you said
Sometimes it's not a fit. Yeah.
No, but you were like, I'll help you, and you always do say
Yeah.
that. You're always like, I'll help you, but you kind of gave me a nudge, and I'm glad you did. And I
Yeah.
think that in general we look at, well, when there's a nudge, there could be something better around the corner,
Yeah.
something that makes more sense. And Emily has been wonderful. But yeah, I still come knocking on your door pretty often too. So, well, this is a fun round. Real quick, I think you might want to answer these. You may not.
I'll answer.
Okay, moon pies or Little Debbie's.
Little Debbie's, absolutely.
Do you have a favorite one?
Yes, the Swiss cake rolls,
Yeah.
but out of the freezer. I want them frozen.
Oh my gosh, you're crazy.
I know.
I was gonna say Coke or Pepsi, but I know you're a sun drop.
I'm a sun drop guy. It's an Eastern North Carolina thing.
Okay.
They're hard to find here. We have a bank client in Middle Tennessee, and every time I go visit them, I load up because for some reason they're popular in Middle Tennessee. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that. Okay, what's one Chattanooga spot or experience that always reminds you why you love this city?
that one I have to answer on my own without the directive of choosing one, because Chattanooga for me is not one thing; it's the collective of it. I love that there's always something to do here. There's always, if you want to do something, you can do it. If you want to get involved in helping a nonprofit, you can do it. If you just want to go see a band play by the river, you can do it. If you want to attend go to the museum or go like tonight, I'm going to the Lookouts game with you guys.
Yes.
And I'm a big baseball guy.
The park is
the new
Erlanger Park is amazing.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
And I was a naysayer. I was one of those, like, I didn't want it to move. I was grumpy, but been proven wrong. And my husband says,
I've been wrong a lot.
Have you ever admitted you're wrong? I'm like, all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Yep. But yeah, it's really everything about, and generally the people in Chattanooga, I'm telling you, I mean, the cities are cities. Every city has, its detractors, but overall, Chattanooga, like I said earlier,
Special.
It's the only place I've ever, and I've traveled all over the world and used to do business in China. Chattanooga's the only place I've ever, when I've gone away, looked forward to coming home, and it's the only place I've ever lived twice because I moved away and missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah.
I was afraid you would say no to me.
No,
I don't know why,
no,
but
no.
you do make me nervous.
No. I don't know why that is.
Well, because I think
You're not nervous around me when
because
we have dinner.
I got to think so highly of you. I really do. I really respect you a
thank you.
lot,
Thank you.
and I loved your wife as well, and we all miss her.
Yep.
And we're here for you always.
Thank you.
And you seem to be doing
Well,
amazing.
You can
look
cut
great.
this part out, but your husband is one of my 3 best friends in the world. I love him like a brother. So,
Well, he's my best friend.
He's a good man.
He's my best friend.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
He should be.
I'll share him with you.
Yep.
Anytime. Take him away. You're going to spend some time with him on Saturday, I think.
Yep. Saturday's
So,
going to be fun. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
you.
Yep,
See you
yep.
later.
just a few years ago, if a client came in and said, hey, we're looking for new strategy around this campaign with this launch of this product, it would take us weeks to get to a place where we were ready to present to the client. Now we can take AI and do the same thing in 3 days and go, okay, these are the two that we know will work. Then we can use some of the tools that we've built to push that look and feel. Then we'll go back and start pushing those into final rounds of what we're going to present, build the deck, present to the client. So we're compressing the time it takes. But the talented people are still required.